All right. Hello, Bleacher Report listeners. What is going on? My name is James Hill, otherwise known as MrBucsNation on YouTube. And today we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss. It was not a pretty loss, so to speak. The Buccaneers lose 20-6 to the Detroit Lions. They fall to 3-2. Now, I will say this does not mean the Buccaneers are still first place in the NFC South. That is important to note there, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still first in the NFC South. Reason for this is because the New Orleans Saints lost today and the Atlanta Falcons lost. So positive news is that the Bucs are still first in the South. The negative news is that this was a pretty ugly loss, all things considered, for the Bucs. 20-6. I think the biggest thing that you can take away from this game, first and foremost, is that the offense did not show up. We're going to be talking about it as we dive into the stats here in just a moment. But, I mean, man, oh, man. Just a really, really ugly offensive matchup here for the Bucs in terms of ability. The point blank simple as this: the Detroit Lions just outplayed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in every way, shape, and form. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can kind of go over the stats real quick. Take a look at it on Bleacher Report here. Hold on one moment. That is there we go. Big media. Perfection. There we go. I'm going to zoom in so we can go ahead and take a look at the stats here because, boy, oh boy. Let's start with Baker Mayfield, okay? There's a lot to talk about with Baker Mayfield, okay? 19 of 37, 206 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 1 time, a passer rating of 56.8, which if you see the emoji on the end there, it's a very kind of a bleh looking emoji. Thank you for everybody in the chat, by the way. You got 67 people in here. That is awesome. It was not a great day for Baker Mayfield. And I understand he was getting pressured a lot. He was getting hit a lot, even a little bit worried about injuring one of his arms. That was a little bit iffy. That was definitely going to be something worth paying attention to. But man, Mayfield missed a couple of deep passes to Trey Palmer at points in the game where that could have just absolutely changed the game. And Mayfield's got to play better. Was everything his fault today? No, I don't believe everything was Baker Mayfield's fault today. Where there's some things that Baker Mayfield could have done better to give this team a better chance of winning this game. Yes, I absolutely do believe that. And moving forward, we're going to have to see Baker Mayfield make some more plays and really just the offense as a whole make more plays to win against good teams. This is the second team the Buccaneers have faced with a winning record this year. This is the second time the Buccaneers have lost to that team. Buccaneers have got to play better. I think a lot of it, starts with Baker Mayfield in terms of just doing more to help boost this offense. Again, not everything was Baker Mayfield's fault in this game. I will say that 100%, but there were certainly some things that he could have done more to help this team, especially when it comes to passing on the deep ball also. The interception that he threw, by the way, I don't fully put on Baker Mayfield. That was such an unfortunate situation. If that pass wouldn't have been deflected at the line of scrimmage and would have been a completed pass to Mike Evans, let's say, on the deep ball, you're looking at a very different situation there, right? First off, you take away 3 points, so it's 17-6 there, and you may have just had an entirely different ball game there. So that's interesting. So Mayfield was not great today, but I also don't put all of this on Mayfield. Running game, oh boy. Rachaad White had 7 carries for 26 yards, 3.7 yards an attempt. Keyshawn Vaughn had 6 carries, 9 yards for 1.5 yards per attempt. Baker Mayfield had 2 scrambles for 3 yards. Folks, I say this every week when I'm on here on Bleacher Report. This run game is not good. I don't know what they need to do differently. And part of it's the offensive line today. They could not run block worth anything. And it's the proof is in the stats pudding, folks. White struggled today. Keyshawn Vaughn struggled mightily today. We saw no Sean Tucker, which is still very interesting to me. And they're just not capable of running the football. And for an offense that really wants to run the football, you would think that they could be good at that, but they're not right now. And that's such a huge problem for this offense. And that isn't even to say that the Lions did any better. You look, I mean, gosh, 10 carries for 15 yards, 6 carries for 14 yards. Like the Lions didn't run the football well either. But for the way the Buccaneers want to take control of games, you've got to run the football better, man. Point blank, simple as that. Like, that's just the way it is. That is just the way it is. This team is not running the football well. It's something that they want to have be a part of their offensive identity, and it is very much hurting this offense. It is very much hurting this offense. Wide receiver wise, Godwin played good. 7 targets, 6 catches, 77 yards. Mike Evans did not have a good game. He had minimum 1 big drop where that could have been a 15-yard gain. 10 targets today, right? He had an offensive pass interference. He had possibly even another drop if you want to include potentially a drop that he had earlier in the game. On 10 targets, Evans has got to step up. Against good teams like this, in crunch time, if you want that kind of money that Mike Evans wants, you've got to step up. Can he do it? Yes, absolutely. We know Mike Evans can do this, but he's got to step up. The Buccaneers playmakers did not make plays today, and the Lions did. Mike Evans had a really bad game, and I'll even show you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 15 targets, 12 catches, 124 yards, a touchdown. Jameson Williams, 2 catches, 53 yards, a touchdown. Josh Reynolds, 3 catches, 50 yards. You know, like that's their guys showing up, right? The Bucs had one guy do that in Chris Godwin. Mike Evans didn't show up. Trey Palmer, 7 targets, 2 catches, 47 yards. Part of that was a couple of missed deep balls from Baker Mayfield, like I talked about. But these 3 have got to show up. You just had a phenomenal example in these 3 guys right here. This is what you want the Buccaneers stat line to look like from their top 3 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis. Didn't happen today. The Bucs were just outplayed. Their playmakers didn't show up in the passing game. I mean, they struggled for it. Aside from that, Devin Tompkins had 4 targets, nothing going. They tried some screens. They tried a lot of different things, and it just wasn't working. The Bucs were outplayed versus the Lions defense, point blank. I mean, Otten had a catch for 15. White had 12. Payne Durham had 8 yards, but offensive guys didn't show up. Bright side, Chase McLaughlin was 2 of 2 on field goals. That's good, right? Defensively, I think the Bucs did enough to win. Levante David had 12 tackles. He had such a good game, dude. He had such a good game. Levante David did. 12 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection. Like Levante David was that dude today. He really was. He played great. Another guy who played really good, which, you know, Vita Vea got a forced fumble. It was recovered by David Montgomery. So that is what it is. Another guy who played really good today. See if he's down here. Kalijah Kancey. Welcome back, right? He's going to be, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be such a good piece of this defense. 3 tackles, 1 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack. They don't count any quarterback hits in here, but I believe Kalijah Kancey had 2 quarterback hits on the day. Something along those lines. Let me see if I can pull this out and see if it doesn't count quarterback hits, but I know Kalijah Kancey had a couple quarterback hits today. Like Kancey played really well. That is super encouraging. In a day of just pain, that is super encouraging to see, you know, Kalijah Kancey, the young man, go in there, make some plays, do some really good stuff. Super duper encouraging there. Kancey's going to be a good piece this year. I really do believe that. You know, Vita Vea made a couple of plays here and there. The secondary, I will say this, Ryan Neal, bad game. Bad game from Ryan Neal. He looked really bad today, be it in run defense, be it in pass coverage. He gave up the touchdown to Jameson Williams. That wasn't fully Ryan Neal's fault, in my opinion. But aside from that, like he still gave up a touchdown, got beat a step ahead. And it was a bad day for Ryan Neal. I mean, really for the secondary as a whole. Look, when you're giving up 100+ yards, when Jared Goff is out here, dicing you up 30 of 44 for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, that's a tough game, man. That's a tough game for the secondary. I mean, Jared Goff cooked them alive. Secondary's got to play better. Pass rush has got to get more pressure. There was some positives there. Levante David had a sack. Kalijah Kancey had a sack, and that's great. That's awesome. But you got to see better against good teams, right? Against good teams. It's not going to get easier. You play a scrappy Falcons team. You play a good Buffalo Bills team moving forward. We've got to see more from this team. I want to see if we can go to team stats here real quick, because that also just tells a really, really big story. David Montgomery was ruled out on his ribs, by the way. Latest social media buzz. I mean, it is what it is. They're showing some Detroit Lions stuff, showing some of the struggles here. Throwbacks looked good, right? I mean, the throwbacks looked really good for the Creamsicles. That's a great thing. Here you see Baker Mayfield. It was just tough, man. It was just tough. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team stats. Here we go. This tells a really interesting picture also. Time of possession, a lot of this was in the second half. It was a lot closer after 3 quarters than versus at the end of the fourth quarter. Total yards, 251 yards of total offense. A lot of that came in garbage time. You've got to do better than that through 3 quarters, let's say. And obviously, you're giving up 380 yards. You ain't going to win many games. Rushing is what it is. First downs, penalties were tied, turnovers, sacks. Baker Mayfield got sacked 3 times in this game. That's got to improve, man. That's got to improve. You can't give up 3 sacks in this game. The O-line did not play well today. Like, they really didn't. The O-line really did not play well in this game today. You've got to see improvement on that. I mean, point blank simple as that. You got to see improvement. Going back down to the team stats, though. Another quick look at it. One thing that was so huge for me, I guess we're not going to see it here. 3rd down. The Lions converted so well on 3rd down. And the Buccaneers did not. I believe the Buccaneers were like 2 of 11 on 3rd down. The Lions, I think, were like 7 of 9, something like that. You're gonna lose football games like that. Whenever you have those types of 3rd down conversions and whatnot, you're gonna lose football games like that. The Buccaneers could not execute on 3rd down like they've done in the past. The Lions executed extremely well on 3rd down, and that was one of the biggest deciding factors of this game. The Buccaneers defense could not get off the field on 3rd downs, and they were gassed by the end of the game. A couple of things that I didn't agree with. One, there was a play late. Let me see if we can go to it, because it was a very notable play, in my opinion. It was in the 3rd quarter. Here we go. Sorry, not that play. We keep on going. It's towards the end of the 3rd quarter, I believe. It wasn't a 3rd and 7. I believe it was in the 4th quarter. Here we go. 4th and 2. From the Buccaneers' 33-yard line, there is 10.5 minutes left, right? Jake Camarda punts to Detroit's 1-yard line. Myself, personally, I would have went for it. That's me. Personally, I would have went for it. The Buccaneers didn't, in my opinion. It's not a great look. It comes off as too conservative. It comes off as putting faith in a defense that's completely gassed at that point. It's not what I would have done. I think that was a really bad decision there. That was one of the deciding factors of the game. Another one, if we can take a look at it, it was earlier, possibly in the 4th quarter. Here it is. 3rd and 1 from Detroit's 8-yard line. Okay. From Detroit's 8. Let's just take it. Yeah. 3rd and 1. An offensive pass interference at Detroit's 8. Okay. You have a 3rd and 1 at Detroit's 8. 8 minutes left here in the 3rd quarter, and you don't run it. When your MO is to run the football, That's another thing where I don't agree with that. I don't. Those two decisions there really set the tone for the second half of how this game went, in my opinion. Was you had such a bad situation there with the offensive pass interference on a 3rd and 1, and then you go back, you go deeper later where you have a situation on 4th and 2 where you just punt it in the 4th quarter with 10 minutes left, 10 and a half minutes left. It's not winning football right there, man. It's not. Those were two big decisions for me. But even then, I don't put this entire game on two decisions. It comes down to the offensive inefficiency. It comes down to just the offense not being good enough, man, and the defense not being able to get off the field on 3rd down. Those are the two big things there that I really do chalk this game up to. But moving forward, now the Buccaneers are going to be playing the Atlanta Falcons next, right? They're going to be playing the Atlanta Falcons next, and then they are going to be playing the Buffalo Bills next. That's going to be tough. Lions have won 4 straight, by the way. Shout out to the Detroit Lions. They went out there and had a fantastic game. But it's not going to get easier for the Bucs, man. If you take a look at their schedule, you got the Falcons, you got the Bills, Texans, Titans. Some of those are winnable games, right? Some of those are winnable games. Falcons is a winnable game. I think you can beat the Bills on Thursday Night Football, but you've really got to go out there and play some good football. But it's really going to come down to how this offense is going to perform. And if today was an indication, gotta have your playmakers go out there and make more plays. Simple as that. I'm talking about Mike Evans, talking about Chris Godwin, talking about all these different types of guys that are out there. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about Dave Canales and the offense. I don't know if play calling was as big of an issue today, in my opinion. I think that Dave Canales, called an okay game. My mindset whenever I was watching this football game was these guys are not executing on offense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer, Baker Mayfield, the offensive line, the run game, the entire offense was not executing. Were the plays there? It's possible, but we won't know because these guys weren't executing. That's really what was on my mind this entire game was, wow, this offense is not executing on 3rd down, on 1st down, on 2nd down. That's kind of where I saw it, in my opinion. That's where I saw it, in my opinion, was just this team not being able to execute, not being able to show up when it mattered most on offense. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. We'll see what the Buccaneers offense can do moving forward. I think the defense played well enough to win today, but unfortunately was not the case. So the Buccaneers fall to 3-2, still number 1 in the NFC South, but it's going to be a big game against the Falcons. That could be potentially for first place of the NFC South, so we'll see. But folks, I'm going to go ahead and end off this live stream. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I would absolutely love to hear it down in the comments section below. And in the chat below. Thank you so much to Bleacher Report for having me on for yet another stream. Obviously, this game didn't go the Bucs' way. This game is not an indication, I think, of what the Buccaneers are as a team. Is this team as bad as the offense showed today? I don't think so. Lions just outplayed them. Point blank, simple as that. I think the Buccaneers will rebound, much like what we saw whenever the Philadelphia Eagles game happened, where they lost 25-11. They came back the next game, won 26-9. And we could very much see that next week versus the Atlanta Falcons. And I will be here, by the way, next week after the game. So stay tuned for that as well. Going to be very excited about that. And hopefully a different Tampa Bay Buccaneers team shows up. But folks, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this live stream here on the Bleacher Report app. I want to thank Bleacher Report for having me on for yet another live stream. I've had an absolute blast doing these. And it's been a lot of fun. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, we will see you on the next video or live stream here on BleacherReport.com and on the Bleacher Report app. But until then, and as always, guys, see you all in the next video or live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you soon, and go Bucs.